Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the skiing part, but not where. So, all right, let's see. I'm just gonna like glance at a list of to see if we before I take the official roll call. Seems like it makes sense to have a else to be on. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and get started. What do you think, Karen? Good to go? Okay, great. Thank you for um starting the recording. Hi everyone, and we know some folks will continue joining, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's May. Um, I wish, but it's March 8th at 5:00 p.m. We're calling the meeting to order. And like I mentioned, we are gonna do a roll call for the first time on this particular board meeting, and it'll make it a little easier for our secretary to actually take the notes, particularly while we're on Zoom and when everyone's not on the screen. Like today, if he's going back and looking at the recording, he can still see or still have a record of who was here. So if you wouldn't mind, when you hear your name, you can just say here, yes. So I have my little list here. I'm gonna run down this and it's alphabetical by last name. So Alice Bailey.
Here.
Paul Drowse. Irma Lee Part.
Here.
Oh, sorry. Listen, my apologies. I didn't let you say here. Thank you. Irma Lee Part I know is not here today. Nick Leonard.
Here.
Great. Samra, I don't want to mess up your last name.
Lookman, I'm here.
Thank you. Madeline Mayer.
I'm here.
Mike McNulty.
Here.
Dave Norwood.
Here.
Brandy, also don't want to mess up your last name, if you wouldn't mind.
Check here.
Okay, thank you. Carol Snodgrass.
Here.
Chair Steen. I see
Here.
you. Perfect. Myra Teta. Am I messing that up?
Oh, here, Teta. Yep.
Okay, great. Susan Thompson.
Here.
All right, and Jerry Van Acker. Can't see everybody on my screen, so I don't think he joined. But okay, great. So we have a quorum. We have a lot of board members here today, so thank you all for joining. And
Just say, I'm sorry, Jessica. Can I just add that staff present, right? Just for the recording, staff present is Cindy Ross, Sarah Steenberg, Sally Petrola, Laura Edwards.
hang on one sec. It may be on my end. I'm trying to turn up the volume. Can you guys hear Karen okay? No.
Oh. No, not really. Okay.
Like we can kind of hear you, but you sound a little kind of far away.
Okay, maybe I'm just not close enough to my laptop.
That works. That's good.
Can you hear
Yep.
me better? Okay.
Yes.
So staff, we have in the meeting are Cindy Ross, Sarah Steenberg, Sally Petrola, Laura Edwards, Sam Davis, and that is it. Guests who are joining us, it's Annette DiMaria, Robert Kidd, Leah Blazinski, and Cody. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your last name. Do you want to tell us how to pronounce your last name, Cody?
Okay.
I am so sorry. I am driving right now. My last name is Tousiant.
Okay. And that's spelled Tousign. Thank you.
You've got it.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So now we'll move on to the agenda. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda? Anyone sees? Feel free to come off mute.
Oh, one thing is that we didn't get the January 11th board meeting minutes in time. So
okay, got it. And it says they'll be sent separately.
Unless when Irma sent them, I don't think she sent them to everybody.
Oh, got it. Okay, so we need to take that off the agenda. Anything else?
Jessica, we are gonna talk about the investment policy and guidelines. We're gonna vote on that
Yeah.
tonight. It's not, I don't see it on the
Yeah, it's under
agenda.
executive.
It's under the executive committee.
Is it? Oh, I see. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Any, Cindy, I see you said Cindy's just saying, still hard to hear you, Karen. I can hear you better once you got closer, though. All right, anything else as far as the agenda goes? All right, if there's nothing else, then, can I just get a motion to approve removing the January 11th minutes from the agenda?
I'll second it, Sam.
Okay, so you're the first. Can I get a second?
Second.
Awesome. Any discussion on that? All right, so then the question is to make a motion to remove the January 11th minutes from this board meeting, and we'll table that for a future meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, then the motion to remove that passes, and we'll revisit that in a future meeting. So, moving right along to the minutes themselves. Hopefully you guys all had a chance to check out the minutes. Are there any corrections that you saw to the minutes for September 14th, November 9th, or December 14th? No? Okay. If there are no corrections, then can I get a motion to approve the September, November, and December meeting minute
A
2022?
motion, it's Sam.
Sue
second.
Thompson seconds.
Wonderful. Any discussion? Okay, great. Then I'll go ahead and ask for a vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Awesome. And anybody opposed? All right, then the motion passes to approve the September 14th, 2022, November 9th, 2022, and December 14th, 2022 minutes. So I think, Laura, you're up next.
Thanks. Forgive me with technical difficulties. Good to see everybody here, and I'm going to share my screen. So I will no longer be able to see you. I'm glad we have a young Friends of the Rouge board member with us. That is so exciting. If I haven't had a
council now.
if I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, I look forward to it. And it's so neat to see some new names up here. I'm Laura Edwards, Development Director with Friends of the Rouge. And now I'm going to share my screen, and present. And bear with me because, okay, there we go. Oof, sorry, the menu is in the way. Okay, here we go. We got it. Okay. Okay. So can you all see the opening slide? I see nods and I can see you. That's a nice part about Zoom, or at least some of you. Okay, so thank you for letting me chat with you board members. This presentation is for you, and I am a resource for you. I am here to support you and your leadership growth on this board in the realm of philanthropy. I am excited to partner with you to create a culture of philanthropy. I should say deepen a culture of philanthropy at Friends of the Rouge. And this presentation will really walk you through the different ways that you can, as a volunteer leader, co-create a culture of philanthropy, not just to increase impact, to feel great, and also to meet your Friends of the Rouge board expectations around fundraising. So we'll walk through what those expectations are. There really aren't many of them. And then at the end, there are 3 expectations and 1 is optional, and you will pick your option tonight. So one last thing before I get going, will you all please just interrupt if you have questions? This truly is for you. So if you see something that surprises you or you have a question, just unmute and ask away. And I will make something up if I don't know the answer. No. Okay, so here is a look at charitable giving. This is 2021, so we can compare with sort of national trends. Okay, so total charitable giving in 2021 was $485 billion. And you can see that 67% came from individuals. I don't know if you would have guessed that, if that sounds right. I see Nick nodding, and a lot of other black squares. 19% came from foundations, 10 from bequests, which is basically individuals, and 4 for corporations. And we can look at Friends of the Rouge's 2021 giving. And this pie is not our total revenue for the year. So I wrote it down. 2021 total revenue was 1.34 million. Unrestricted gifts were about 274,000, or 20% of our total revenue. And unrestricted gifts, maybe this is just, maybe you know this is your daily life, but that's basically somebody writes Friends of Rouge a check and they're like, do whatever you think you need doing with this money. There are literally no restrictions placed on the gift. And this is kind of the golden goose of giving, because it allows us to put the dollars where we need it most to grow the programming for a better Rouge River. And I hope you all are comparing the size of the pies. You can see that Friends of the Rouge, first off, I would just say, with unrestricted gifts at about 274,000, we want to grow this whole pie, and we can. And there are a lot of amazing board members, your colleagues, you are actively growing some of these wedges, if not all of them. So a giant thank you. We are sort of beating the national trend for corporate giving, and that is thanks in huge part to this amazing group of people. Foundation, we're also beating sort of national trends for foundation giving, and this is just unrestricted dollars. And then individual giving is really our biggest pie wedge to grow, and we know that. And that's part of why I'm here in this seat today. And the beautiful thing, if you're at the bottom, this square around, is that, yeah, we have room to grow, and these are the areas as board members you are truly best suited to support. So thank you, and I look forward to working with you to grow these areas. And so why you? Oh my goodness, for so many reasons as board members, and I'll kind of let you bring this through, but read this through, excuse me. But you really are our leadership of this organization. You are experts, the voice of authority and social proof for a lot of folks about what they should be doing. Folks will see you as experts. And you also speak to donor identities. So folks will say, oh, Jessica, she cares about clean water. So do I. I should be giving to Friends of the Rouge. You have a lot of gravitas and powers as board members. And you are really part of this team to make sure that Friends of the Rouge is growing and doing well. And so how do you do this? Okay, so we have a couple expectations and one pick your own expectation. So the first one is go ahead, start as the song says, start with the man in the mirror. Make your own personal commitment to giving. So we do ask that you are all members in good standing with Friends of the Rouge. Your membership gift can be a gift. This is a gift from the heart. It is what is meaningful to you. We also ask that you contribute to the year-end board match. We have been doing it the last few years. It's wildly successful. If your membership gift and your year-end contribution needs to be one and the same, that is absolutely fine. A meaningful gift to you is going to be different than your next door neighbor. And we understand that. We will not chirp about any one board member's gifts, not internally and not to you all. But it is, as board leaders, I would just say start with yourself. And it feels you will be asking for support directly and indirectly in so many ways. And it just feels more authentic and decent if you are giving at a level that you are proud of, that speaks to your own belief in this organization and the impact it makes. I've sat on boards before, and I've heard, and maybe just mull this over, if you are sitting on a board as a leader, ask yourself, is this board that I'm sitting on, is this organization one of my top 3 charities? So I'll just leave that to you to mull over. The second requirement is for you to attend Friends of the Rouge events. We have 3 this year that are all staff organization events. You are welcome to write these down, add them to your calendar. And of course, we understand, please attend as feasible. Like, there's a baby being born, we get it. Someone is Lassie, a friend of the Rouge. And then the last expectation is maybe the most fun. It's one that you get to pick for yourself. So there are 5 choices. This is choose your own adventure. All of them make an awesome impact. You do not have to only pick one. You can pick multiple, and many board members do. So let's see. Are we gonna go down? There we go. Okay, so the first one is, sorry, I'm trying to move this so I can see the screen. Okay. The first one is new member phone calls. If you're an extrovert, if you have ever cold called someone in your life, if you like to talk on the phone, this one is a great one. Basically, board members, I will send you a script. I will send you information and a phone number, and you call a new member, somebody who is donating for the first time or becoming a member for the first time. And boy, oh boy, does it make an impact. And I have Samra's picture here, and I'm going to totally call on you. Samra, if you can unmute and just talk to some of the responses that you've received when you've made a new member call, that would be awesome. And I can't see you, so I don't know if you're able to unmute. Oh, I'm totally calling you. Sam, you're unmuted.
Hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there it goes. So, the responses are amazing. Well, first of all, you get to connect with new people, and there are people from all walks of life and all industries. And then once you get to talking to them, a lot of them are very like, I've had people tell me point blank, thank you so much for calling. This means a lot to me, which I know it sounds like unreal, but they literally thank you for thanking them. So a lot of people are very they grateful for it. And then additionally, I've had a couple people who said, well, you know what, now that I'm talking with you, I want to do more. I have this X, Y, and Z, or I work for this company that contributed to this. And so I've made a couple of connections or referred them up as well to Friends of the Rouge. But it's been pretty fun, kind of like you sit down on your time off and just have your coffee and just go through some of the names, and it's cool. It's cool to connect with them, and I know they love it. So I think that it will help get them like become repeat donors. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
Thank you. Let me know if you can't hear me. I don't think anything has changed, but Samra, thank you. Sam is like amazing at this, and you get a script, so it's pretty straightforward. We would expect to see a bump in returning donors who receive a phone call, and this is just looking at donors who receive a phone call in the first 90 days of a first gift. And I just want to show you. Friends of the Rouge is beating the Bloomerang data report here. So this is thanks to you, board members. You can see that the retention rate, people who gave again, newbies who joined in 2022, who were called and thanked, we have a 73% retention rate, which is bonkers. I think industry average is like, maybe like 20 to 40%. This is really solid. So our Friends of the Rouge members were 1.5 times more likely to renew when they heard from you. And similarly, when they renewed, they tended to give more. So by on average 50% more. And so we'd expect the bump. I guess in Bloomerang, they're seeing double. 50% more, we'll take it. That is great impact for a better Rouge River. So this truly makes a difference. Option 2, this would be a good one if you are already on social media a lot. I would just say if you're scrolling Instagram or Facebook every night, and it would be no big deal to share or repost Friends of the Rouge posts and fundraisers, consider this. We would love it. I mean, this is Friends of the Rouge marketing, it's engagement, it's getting folks to our events, it's essentially getting folks to donate and participate and become friends. Our presence sort of from least to greatest. Friends, Facebook is where we have our largest audience. So I would say that if you're on social media and you only checked LinkedIn, maybe this isn't the one for you to pick. So as a requirement, we would love to find somebody who's on Facebook a lot. Okay, option 3, volunteer at special events. So you're gonna be there anyways. And if your sweet spot is, chatting with people, maybe don't pick this one. If you are a worker bee and you would rather, be at an event and get to work, this could be a great one for you. Here's Carol Snodgrass. She brought a friend. This is Heart of the Rouge. They rocked it. They worked all night at the membership table. So there are lots of ways that we will call on board members to help, and this is a good one, a good activity to pick. If that sounds like it matches your personality. Okay, so this next one is really critical. It is growing sponsorship support. So for our annual fundraising event, we do solicit sponsorships, and it is thanks to the board that we get them. And that's why that corporate wedge of the Trivia Pursuit pie is so big and is larger than sort of our national average. If you have relationships to businesses, if you work for a business that has marketing dollars to spend, if you feel like you have connections and could help support stewarding new and existing donors, that is fantastic. this would be a wonderful activity. And I would just say, consider doubling down and joining the Fund Development Committee. That's where the magic happens. This is led by Alice Bailey now. I think, Alice, if you want to say something here, you are more than welcome to, but we are, Alice and Jeremiah and I are looking for more committee members.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I definitely want to give a plug for the fund. I like to call it the Fun Development Committee because we have a lot of fun. You can hear Lara's pitch and all the great work that she does. So she says she's here to support the board, but I look at the Fund Development Committee as a way for us to support her good work too. She's doing this every day, all day. So she needs our support for that. And yeah, one of the big things we do is get ready for the Rouge cruise, and that is the sponsorships. That's how we make money on that event. So that's just one example of things we do. So we definitely are looking for more support from all of you. So I hope you consider that. We'll probably have maybe monthly or every other month calls. So it'll be easy to participate wherever you're at, but then, plan for all of the initiatives that Lara helps so much spearhead, such as the Rouge Cruise and the year-end appeal. And sometimes there's the Earth Day, appeal and some other things throughout the year that we'll be working on. So I hope you consider that, and please reach out. I sent an email a couple weeks back if you can find that, or reach out to me or Lara, and we'll get you on the list. So thank you.
Thank you, Alice. That was brilliant. And really thank all of you. I added a couple slides where we thank sponsors. And I think almost, all of these came through the kindness of you and your board colleagues. And we will do our best to honor your kindness. So any communication with companies, we will CC you on if you want to introduce us to an organization. Of course, you will be in the first meeting, and then you can be part of those conversations moving forward. We will take care of your connections. We will take care of you. Yeah, and you'll know if this is we don't want to put you in a position where you're asking people for favors. We definitely want to empower you if you know of an organization where their ESG goals, sustainability goals dovetails nicely with the Rouge. Okay, and speaking of not pestering, this is the next opportunity, supporting donor and member cultivation. And it's so fun. There is a membership committee, and this will be led by Jerry. I'm sorry he's not here tonight. This is sort of thinking through how do we keep retention at a whopping 72%? How do we grow the tent, which is really the biggest goal for Friends of the Rouge? How do we get more members? Yeah, we've grown over the years. You can see that graph, but it's easy, I say, to grow a small number. So I want to get membership so high that it's really hard to grow, and we are nowhere close yet. And this is where I also want to say, this is not you pestering your friends to become members. We don't want you to do that. We don't even want you to feel pressure to do that. This is more of, supporting like-minded folks who are interested in environmental issues in Metro Detroit. This is matchmaking between people and their passion, and just sort of activating folks' intent and interest to make an impact. So if this sounds good to you, thinking through membership, growing this tent that we want to be wide and big, please join the membership committee. And so with that, we will go to the wrap up, which is, of course, thank you. Y'all are amazing. I look forward to an amazing 2023 with you. And if we can, I just want to reiterate the requirements as board members. Go ahead and make your own personal commitment to giving. Please attend special events, and then choose one optional activity. And can we just go through the board, can you tell me what those are? I will write them down and then follow up. And so the idea here is you pick one in 3 weeks. If you think I have made a horrible decision, you know, you can we'll switch you. It's no big deal. But since you're here, I want to get this down. So let's see. Jessica, do you mind just calling board members one by one? And you can let me know what you want to do, A, B, C, D, or E.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. I was just saying no problem. I'll go in the same order as we did for the roll call, and if for some reason you're not able to talk, you can stick it in the chat. So we'll start off with Paul.
Oh, what, I'm first?
Yay!
I'll be B and C.
All right. Tall, swinging big. Love it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Irma's not here, so we'll move on to Nick.
I can do B, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you.
What are these events? Oh, that's the Rouge Cruise.
All right, and
I
then
already
we'll
said that.
go
What are you talking
next to Samra.
Is it my turn?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I can do A, B, and then I sometimes do C by attending or volunteering.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, and then Madeline. Thank you, by the way, Samra.
I have been doing B and some C, so I'll commit to C more.
Awesome. Thank
Madeline,
you.
that is awesome. Are you also okay with B still?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing this.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
I did also request some sponsorship from my employer, but I cannot guarantee anything, so I'm not going to commit to that yet.
It will be a delightful surprise if it happens. Thank you, Madeline.
All right, thank you, Madeline. Mike? I'm sorry, I can't see everybody to tell if we've lost anyone.
Oh, can you hear me, Jessica?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Sorry, I'm in the car. I guess it's in a transfer. Anyways, yeah, I can do B and D. D is in dog. And I guess, Laura, if you need help with A, I know I helped with that before. Let me know if you don't have enough people, but definitely D and D.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And you are really good at new member phone calls.
Oh.
So thank you. But yeah, I'll put you on the back burner for that.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Mike. All right, Dave. Think.
Unmute. C and D.
I didn't know they were together. That's fantastic.
Oh, now I see. I heard you talking about the cruise to somebody. Now it makes more sense. That's funny. All right, thank you. Brandy?
I will do B and D and maybe A.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandy.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Brandy. Carol?
B and C.
Thank you, Carol.
Hey, Carol, I'm sorry. Was it B or D?
B as in boy, C as in Carol.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Carol. Jeremiah?
A and E, please.
Ooh, all right. Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thanks, Jeremiah. All right, Myra? Oh, Myra actually I see you put yours in the chat if you can't. Okay.
Yeah, I'm about to get going too. So A and B put in the chat, but I'm only on LinkedIn. and then probably a little bit of C too. Let me
Awesome.
know.
Thank you so much. Drive
Okay,
safe.
I'm gonna sit out now. Okay.
All right, thank you, Myra. Travel safely, and then Susan. And if you're not able to come with me, no worries. We'll circle back. All right, I think we got everybody else then. Laura, who's here.
That is wonderful. I will stop sharing, and just a warm thank you to you all. I'm excited to see you in person, and I'm excited to make a difference with you this year.
Awesome. Thank you for the presentation. That was super informative as always. So, well, unless anyone has any questions for Laura before we move on. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time. So next up, I'm sorry I didn't mention at the top of the board meeting. I know Marie said in her email, but she's out today she's at the Great Lakes conference in DC with Irma. So that's why she's not with us. So thank you for bearing with me as I steer the ship, and thank you to the Friends of the Rouge staff as well. So just to keep us moving right along, next up is the executive committee report. And so actually I am going to try to have two screens up here. But the executive committee last met on March 1st. And at that meeting, we set the agenda for today and also discussed a revised investment policy and a new confidentiality agreement that you should have received in today's board packet. So just if you didn't get it and need it forwarded to you, just say something in the chat, and then Karen, if you wouldn't mind passing it along if need be. All right, so moving right into the investment policy. The investment policy, and please both Karen and Carol, please feel free to add to anything that I'm sharing here, but the investment policy is intended to outline allocations that will be reviewed quarterly to ensure that they are appropriate and low risk. We also talked about with the investment policy draft that as appropriate, there'll be an attempt to invest in ERG funds, which are a type of environmental fund. And I just want to turn to Karen and Carol to see, was there anything high level that you wanted to share about the investment policy as it's up on the screen? And once again, this is an existing policy that is being updated.
No, this is actually our first shot.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm so sorry. I guess we saw a number of drafts or updates to the draft, and I was like, oh, it's nothing. Thank you for clarifying.
So one of the things I wanted to point out was, I think you can see my screen, and I did send this out this afternoon. I apologize for that, but if this needs to be something we do an email vote on so people can look at it more thoroughly, that's something we could probably do. But the other thing I wanted to show was that in October of 2009, at a board meeting, the board came up with these percentages of where they want their investments to go. I'm sorry, I forgot. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So that's why we get to 33, 33, 33. And that can be changed, with the discussion with the finance committee and whatever else has to be done to make those changes. But the executive director, with the approval from the executive committee, is authorized to open a brokerage account, and she is also the one who will do the rebalancing every year with the investment advisor. So that's all I had to add. Carol, did you have anything?
I didn't hear the very last thing you said, Karen.
Oh, I'm sorry. That the executive director, with the approval of the executive committee, is enabled through this document is authorized and empowered to open a brokerage account, transfer, endorse, sell, sign, set over, or deliver any shares of stock, options, or debentures, notes, or other securities et cetera, et cetera. But I just wanted to point that out. That's the last part of the investment policy. That had to be established in order for us to sign paperwork with the investment broker. So just kind of watch out for that.
Got it. Thank you. So, and I just wanted to reiterate, the executive committee looked at this, commented on it, and is recommending it to the board, but just wanted to check in before actually having a motion and vote on this, if there's any like questions or comments about what Karen shared.
I think we have to have a motion and then a second and then discussion.
All right, can I get a motion then?
This is Mike. I set forth a motion to improve the investment policy.
Perfect, thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jeremiah. All right, any discussion about what was shared? Any questions or concerns? Feel free to let us know. Sorry, we could try to give a moment because I know we're on Zoom and it can be a little wonky. And Carol, I saw your note in the chat, so if there's anything you want to add, feel free to stick it in the chat if that's helpful.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, oh, there you are. Okay, great. All right, we're not hearing any discussion, then we'll go on. We'll move forward and take a vote on actually approving the investment policy as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, any opposed? Okay, then the ayes have it and the motion to approve the investment policy is adopted. Thank you, Karen, for providing that to us. So, all right. So next up is another document that was shared in your email. Once again, just let us know if you don't see it, but it is the confidentiality policy. And this was a recently developed policy that came up actually as the staff was developing policies and procedures for office volunteers, and then recognized how important it would be to have this for staff and board members as well. And so this is pretty standard. I know a lot of us have probably signed these for other boards or other things we're involved in the past, but Nick, I know you had a chance to take a look at it as from an attorney's eyes, and just wanted to check in to see, was there anything you wanted to mention about the confidentiality policy?
No, I think it looks good. I mean, it's fairly basic. I see one of the suggestions that I made and I reviewed it last week was to give some sort of more concrete examples of what would be considered confidential information. And that's there now, just so board members are sort of clear about what they can share and not share, and just clear on that expectation. But I think it's like all things, if you have questions about it, just ask and make sure that it's you're staying on the right side of things. But I think it's fairly straightforward.
Thank you, appreciate it. And same thing, executive committee took a look, thought it looked good. Also, we don't need a vote on this, but if you all have any questions or comments about it, please feel free to speak up right now and let us know, and same goes in the future.
Okay, Jessica, I'm gonna put a link to the agreement in the chat once I figure out how to do that. And then all you gotta do is it's a Google form. So all you have to do is click on the link, fill out the form, sign it, and then I get all the responses.
Perfect, thank you, Karen. So yeah, I don't know, hopefully everyone can hear that. Okay, I can hear you, Karen, but I know everybody's audio is different, but she's gonna put a link in the chat. If board members could fill that out before you hop off the call today, then we'll have it and we'll be done. So that's it on that note. And there's No other additional executive committee notes on my end right now. Anyone else from the executive committee? I think the additional items we discussed actually come up in the finance committee, so. Alrighty, we'll keep it moving then. Membership committee, I know Jerry's not here, but if there's anyone else that's on that committee that wants to share anything, or Karen, if you have any notes, feel free. All right, and we will keep moving right along. Alice, fund development, I know you guys just had a great presentation, but wanted to turn to you for any additional updates.
Yeah, just another plug. If anybody's interested, raise your hand or give me a email or shout or whatever. We haven't met yet this year, but we're looking to plan that first call meeting here probably within the next month. So starting to kick that off. And like I said, our main purpose is to support Laura and her efforts and the different initiatives, and the especially the Rouge Cruise, our biggest fundraiser of the year. So no real updates except just looking for extra members to help share the fun. Thanks.
Awesome. Great. So please reach out to Alice if you are interested in joining the committee. So moving right along, board development committee, Mike, anything on your end?
We did have a meeting 2 weeks ago, and it was just an overview of the committee. I was joined by Samra and Madeline, who graciously agreed to be members of the committee, so thank you. I would still be willing to take other members if anybody's interested. And I can talk one-on-one a little bit more about what the board development committee does. But anyways, we did identify, we're gonna have 5 directors that are gonna be up for re-election at the end of this year, including myself actually. But anyways, I will be reaching out to those individuals, see what their intentions are for staying on. And at that point, we'll know maybe how many openings we might have and start to kind of do like a little bit of talent evaluation, if you will, talent search, in terms of what we might be looking for in terms of filling gaps or adding to our skill set already. So that's what I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. All right. Next up, advocacy committee. Dave, any updates on your end?
The committee was active with some developments that are happening in Northville and Plymouth Township. So we sent a letter asking for higher than what's required standards to protect the tributaries for the Rouge in those 2 communities based upon those 2 developments. And I don't know if Sally's still on it. I believe she went to the meeting too. So it was a planning commission meeting. I don't know if she has anything to add or somebody else. I'm not sure if anybody else attended the meeting.
Yeah, can you answer my question? How are you and Paul in the same room?
We are both in Lithuania together.
You are in Lithuania.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
What are you doing in Lithuania?
I'm supporting, I'm helping, well, my family's from here, but I'm supporting Paul with the talk about rivers and how they impact communities.
That is so awesome.
Oh, that's totally cool.
Thank you for asking the question. We all were wondering.
Yeah, Sally, do you want to take the lead on the discussion, or would you like me to? We can tag team whatever makes sense to update the board and kind of where things are at with these the latest developments going on in Johnson Creek.
I guess I can start and I'll let you take it, Sue. So Sue and I both attended that Plymouth Township Planning Commission meeting. It was a packed meeting, and it seemed about half of the people got up there and spoke in support of the racetrack proposal, and about half spoke against it. I read the Friends of the Rouge letter. Got a lot of thank yous from Plymouth Township for doing that. You know what, Sue, do you want to continue to describe that meeting? Because you know more about the players there.
Well, I don't want to call out names and things in here because it is incredibly difficult. But unfortunately, in the meeting, there was some exchange between one of the township planner and one of the audience members. And that particular person actually stuck his tongue out at this particular person that was in opposition of the racetrack development. And he got up and said, I will put something in this property that's worse than this racetrack, and you will just absolutely hate it. And his goal was to develop every square inch of the township that doesn't have a building on it. So that, unfortunately, the board went ahead, the zoning committee voted to move ahead with the plan unit development, and then that was presented to the township board, I think, on their meeting on the 28th. And at that point, the board voted 6-1 to approve moving on with the project. And that the person that voted in opposition to it was more because the technology corridor, the MTIC corridor, which is this area in Johnson Creek that's designated for technologies, a certain type of development, that he felt that this development was not in tune with that. So he was concerned that developing the warehouses and everything else was not in concert with that, but also, he had concerns with traffic and the low, all the crime and whatever else would be brought by these and the low values with that type of development. Which brings us here to just with this, especially since it's Johnson Creek. I mean, we don't want to pick on a certain part of the watershed because our goal is to protect, the watershed as a whole. But here we are up in the most, one of the more Blue Ribbon trout stream, the most unique part of the watershed, and here it's facing this development pressure. And how best can Friends of the Rouge advocate and educate our decision makers on doing what they need to be doing to help protect this resource?
Yeah, I have to admit I was a little bit shocked to see the maps showing Johnson Creek, and like Sue said, that's the jewel of our watershed. It's our cold water tributary. It's got the endangered red-side dace. It's got more sensitive aquatic insects and fish than probably any other part of the Rouge. It's a jewel, but yet all of a sudden it's being subject to this incredible development pressure. And I was really shocked to see this map that shows, Johnson Creek, and then it's completely zoned industrial all around the creek. And a lot of that is coming out of the whole, former city of Detroit prison property and the deal that the state and the county and the two townships, Plymouth and Northville, have made to develop all of that land. It's a huge thing. And it's just difficult to know where Friends of the Rouge can have some influence on this issue. We know we have this cold water tributary. We know it's got a lot of value for the watershed. We know that this development comes in, you pave over those surfaces, it's going to cause that creek to decline. How can we, as an organization that cares about this creek, affect the state that wants to see this developed, the county that wants to see this developed, and the two townships that want to see this developed? And the kind of the unfortunate thing about the meeting was that there's the planning commission seemed to be just totally focused on development, and any residents who got up there who talked about the value of the creek or the value of their quality of life, some of them saying they moved from Canton to Plymouth because it seemed like a better place to be. And now Plymouth is becoming like Canton because Canton is developing every square inch of its property. Now Plymouth seems to be doing the same. The planning commission seemed to discount that. They pretty much laughed away 55 PETA representatives who sent in a similar letter, all with concerns about, of course, the horses. But there's just, there's so many concerns with this development. There's concern about putting a horse racing track there and what happens to the manure. How is that not going to end up in the creek? Manure from the Northfield Downs ended up in the creek and caused problems. How can we, as an organization, I think the letters were a great start, but how can we have more of an impact on this issue? So I guess Sue and I were interested in what the rest of the board had to say about that.
This is Sam. I can appreciate what you're saying, because that is quite frankly something that we've suffered in the south end of Dearborn for a very long time. The Planning Commission constantly rezoning and pushing urban renewal into the area. And the real change comes from the person that appoints those planning commissioners, and that being the mayor in our city. So I'm assuming that the charter in Plymouth is probably fairly similar, where the mayor appoints those people into their positions. And those people get renewed every so often over so many years. So I think that what we need to do is get to the heart of the problem. The appointments that are being made to the Planning Commission, they show up on the agenda for councils to approve them. And I've personally gone and opposed some of those people getting appointed publicly. And until we start humiliating them in that way or threatening their position, they're not going to listen. And similarly, the mayor needs to be held accountable for appointing people into those positions that are not environmentally friendly, quite frankly. And when his reputation or her reputation starts, being publicized as that type of person who doesn't care about climate change or our watershed, that's when they start paying attention. And quite frankly, like I said, our change didn't happen in Dearborn until we got an environmentally sound mayor into place, Abdullah Hamoud, and that required a lot of people to be informed about his policies and his decision making and historically what he's done. So I know we are not a 501c4 and we cannot get involved in politics. However, we can advertise board agenda items, such as appointment of this commissioner who voted against the watershed. We can advertise the policies of the mayor when they are not influential. And this is, I think, something that we talked about, maybe we touched on last year, about how the advocacy committee needs to do more. I agree, we do need to do more. And I don't think that, sending the letters of disapproval are great, but I really like to see actionable things where we're either involved in the community or bringing them in or actually showing up. I would have, I know it's a lot on our plates, all of us as individuals, but maybe we all as an advocacy committee should have showed up to that planning commission meeting and spoken, because I'm in Dearborn, but I'm detrimented when they do this up in Plymouth Township. And that's something that I think that we should probably do more of. That's my opinion.
I have a question in the chat. Thanks, Sam. I have a question in the chat. Well, first of all, Michael Van Tol, the legislative aide for Wayne County Commissioner Monique Baker McCormick in Redford Township, has joined us and is glad to be here. And then I have a question from Debbie Bondi. Has the governor or reps said anything about the creek project? Does anybody know?
As far as I know, it's a state priority to bring economic development to the area. And which would make me to believe that the governor is in support of this.
Yeah. Just to add to that, I just full disclosure, I do live in the district that's affected here, that the representatives affect here in the Plymouth Township area. I've reached out to both of my state rep and also the state senator. The state senator for the area happened to be at the meeting. that Sally and I attended to talk on behalf of the river. So I don't know if she's weighed in one way or the other on this particular project. And I think just well spoke here is it's just a challenge with, especially with home rule in the state of Michigan, that, you know, development, and you see it everywhere, that everybody wants, it's always balancing economic development versus protection of our natural resources. And Johnson Creek is just kind of a flashpoint of that, especially for our particular area in the watershed. Is just because, right, we know, as being Friends of the Rouge, we see the bug data, we see the fish data, and we've done Friends of the Rouge and Sally's group we've had people analyze the data, so we know what it's showing us, and so we you know, it's a canary in the coal mine with what our monitoring is supposed to show. But it's just, how do we get the change makers, you know, the folks that are saying in Lansing that yes, develop this land, you know, for economic development? Why can't they give incentives to not develop it, you know, and focus on so many of the areas? We know, we're preaching the choir here at Friends of the Rouge, but you know, we have so many of our urban core areas that are just left to rot, and then there's all this infrastructure that doesn't get used, and we keep developing land. Or even when you look at Tohoku, it did have a previous use, and probably why it's zoned as industrial is because there are some areas where there is contaminants from previous use. But again, you know, nature's taken over there, and so it's something that isn't getting, you know, more impervious surface added. So, you know, how do we move the needle on educating the folks to say, you know, here we've got Plymouth Township that wants to maximize their tax base, you know, minimize property taxes. You know, how do we change that conversation as an organization?
Yeah, and I really appreciate what Samra is saying about it and her experience, and especially about the fact that, you know, whatever happens out there is going to affect everything downstream. You know, we have Plymouth Township that's actually doing a positive thing with their development and daylighting a creek. But yet, if all that land out in Plymouth gets developed on the Johnson Creek that's flowing into that area is going to decline. I'd be really interested if Nick, I love having you on the board and welcome, but I know that you've been involved in a lot of these issues. If you would have any insight as to how we could get more traction with this issue, because I feel frustrated that the voice of the river, the voice of the environment isn't really being heard in the discussions. It's just pro economic development.
Yeah, I'm happy to sort of share my initial thoughts. I mean, I think, you know, especially when things are in front of a local government body like this, I think it's really important to bring sort of local voices to the conversation and just make sure there are folks from the community. You know, because that's what folks in sort of like Northfield Township will be concerned about. Like the local governments, particularly in smaller communities like these, can be highly receptive to local criticism, but if it's people coming from outside of the community, even people that'll be impacted downstream, I mean, their thought is like, well, you know, you're not my constituent, you're not my voter, you know, I'm less concerned about you and less willing to listen to you. I mean, that's just, you know, the reality of sort of how power works in that situation. I mean, I think one initial thing to start doing is sort of to identify who, like, essentially people that care about this issue in the local government, if sort of local government is the target for the advocacy, and sort of just like start working with them and to build sort of local support. And then I think, you know, media is always really important for sort of local advocacy efforts too, to just raise the profile of the issue and get your messaging out there. But I mean, other than that, if you're still finding that people aren't being sort of receptive, I mean, there are obviously like more aggressive options that the organization could look to. And really, I think another thing that I would recommend at this point is just really identifying what Friends of the Rouge wants out of this. to sort of say, like, is it just this development doesn't happen at all, or is it that this development happens with certain protections in place and something along those lines, to develop really clear, concise talking points and then just really hone in on that. And it's often difficult to arrive at those because it's, you know, you have to figure out what's possible first and sort of what the opposition wants and things like that. But, you know, I'm happy to talk about you more with this too offline to help sort of refine the organization's approach and just develop a really strong advocacy strategy.
Sally, well, I'm saying you, Sally, but also to everyone, there's a question of providing a letter that the public can post. Is there anything like that that might already exist, or just wanted to check in on that first?
There are the 2 letters that the advocacy committee provided, one in regards to the racetrack and the other in regards to 3 warehouses, 1,000,000 square feet warehouses. We can provide those. And just to answer, there's a question about does Friends of the Rouge mainly aim its efforts? Friends of the Rouge focuses on the entire watershed, so middle, main, lower, upper, all of it.
So with regards to Debbie's question, I just wanted to make sure, like, so we're okay. The letter can be shared with the public, as she asked particularly about posting on social media and sharing with the governor and reps. So
I defer to the advocacy committee, but I have been allowed to share it with interested citizens, you know, some of our bug hunt volunteers and such. So I think it's.
And what people do with it once we share with it is kind of up to you, you know. So I think. So okay, well, Debbie, I guess if we could just make sure we have your contact information, you could send it in the chat either privately or to everyone, so that way we can make sure you have that letter as well. A reference. Okay. Did anyone else have any other thoughts or questions on this topic, which I know is an ongoing one? So I'm sure we'll be revisiting in future board meetings, but just wanted to give a chance to anyone else who wanted to discuss anything on this.
I want to add, all hope is not lost. It's still going to council for approval, if I'm not mistaken. So could always do something between now and then too.
Just for clarity on it, is that it was passed by the Plymouth Township Board of Trustees 6-1. It is now back in the planning phase. So now the next steps will be to move through the plan unit development, all those discussions there. I think of the 8 levels there that they needed to meet. The only thing that the board mentioned during its discussion on the environment was that they were going to build a rain garden and have interpretive signage there. Just to mention though, is that it is a development since it is in a parcel that was already developed prior to COVID, and that development was stalled. That would need the size of it. It would be going through the Wayne County review for the stormwater ordinance, which recently went through some changes to incorporate green infrastructure options and some other things. But again, back just with the Johnson Creek Protection Group, when the Arcadia Ridge development went into place, which is to the north in Northville Township, that because of the interest of the citizens in the area and also other groups like Friends of the Rouge and the residents there, is that there was a concern about the development pressures on that area. And for that particular development, working with the state of Michigan and all the stakeholders and the developer, that development actually put in what was called bottom draw ponds. So they went above and beyond even the stormwater regulations at that particular time, realizing that the resource was unique and to try to protect it. So again, it's when you look at Friends of the Rouge's involvement in the Northville Downs development, again, some of that is political will. They want to reach out to Friends of the Rouge to have a seat at the table to to talk about how to make this better for the river, as opposed to what the situation that seems right now at first pass is that the township says thanks but no thanks, we're going on our way. And to be able to have leverage to discuss if this project is going to be done, then what ways to make it have minimal impact on the river. So, but just want to throw that out.
Thank you, appreciate it. And I see there's a question about who else we're partnering with on this advocacy. Is that something you can speak to, Sally or Susan? And feel free to put it in the chat if it's something that requires a bit more.
So what's the question in the chat? I'm seeing several things.
There's a question about who else the Friends of the Rouge is partnering in terms of this advocacy work.
Oh, beneficial that we list the negative impacts, and are you partnering with other organizations? I think that's a good point. We've talked a little bit to people over at Trout Unlimited who care about the trout. I'm not, it might be good to look at some of our local conservation organizations, like Audubon, others. We haven't really done that. I guess that's the thing, is that advocacy just takes a lot of time and energy. And I really appreciate the advocacy committee. And yes, this racetrack it seems to me a done deal. And yes, we could get involved in all the details of how is it less impactful on the creek. And again, we just kind of get back into that takes a lot of time and energy. I know Marie spent a ton of time and energy working to make sure that daylighting project happened with the Northfield Downs, and that's not even, that's still going to take more energy. And then I guess the last thing, because I know the board needs to move on, is just that this is going to be coming up more and more and more because there is such incredible development pressure. And as an organization, we spend so much time focusing on rain gardens and green infrastructure, and a lot of it within the city of Detroit, and focus on doing it there. But, like Cindy and I say, for every rain garden that we build, if they develop another 5 acres, we're just losing the battle. So this is, when you think about water quality and the health of the Rouge River, this is huge. So thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Hey,
Mike?
Jessica, this is Mike. Yeah, real quick. I know we do need to move on, but there was something I think we discussed last week at the executive committee meeting about bringing on a lobbyist. Remember that discussion that we had?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in the as part of the finance committee discussion. So, yes, you're absolutely right, Mike. And I think we can make that transition to the finance committee and have that discussion there, if that's okay.
Okay, there you go.
No, but you're absolutely right. That's directly connected as well. So, but I just want to say thank you all for what you've done on this, and please keep us posted with the work that the staff and the advocacy committee are doing, and the board. Let us know how the board as a whole and the community can continue to support. All right, and thank you everyone who's attending as a guest too for your comments and suggestions as well. Feel free to continue to share those in the chat, and I think because of time, we'll keep it moving and go to the finance committee next. So Karen, are you still there and able to?
Yeah, I'm trying to work off. So I don't know if can Karen share the December treasurer's report? I'm not able to do that.
I don't know if you can see her, but she's nodding and looking to pull it up. Oh, you're on mute, Karen, if you're talking to us. Carol, I don't know if I'm assuming you may not have it in front of you as well. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say you could speak to it, and start to speak to it in the meantime, but she's got it up, so we'll let you take the floor. Carol, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm working off my phone here.
Are you able to see this? Let us know if you're able to speak to it while you're on the phone, or you need Karen to hop in instead. Karen, do you want to maybe share while Carol's
Mute and then back, mute and then back. I wasn't sure what she. I can. Oh, okay. Carol, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, did you want to share about the December treasurer's report? Okay, well, Karen, would you mind sharing then?
I would be happy to. So, December, Friends of the Rouge ended up with a surplus with release assets of $4 million, $4,038,000. This seems like a huge number, I know, and we all get excited when we see that. But one thing that we do, and in the nonprofit world, is whenever a grant or money is promised to us, we consider that revenue. Now, some of the grants we got, for example, last year we got a $2 million grant, but that $2 million needs to be spent for the next 3 years, 4 years, or other grants are 5 years even. But according to the generally accepted accounting principles, nonprofits have to account for that money in this year that it was promised. So when you see released net assets, that's exactly what you're getting is kind of holding on to money for future expenses. So as we release those assets and we use up those expenses, as we expend the money, then obviously the released net assets go down. So we had a couple of big grants in 2022 that we're carrying over for subsequent years. So hence the reason that number is so high. Cash on hand, we're in really good shape. The cash on hand is targeted at $200,539, and it's exceeded that $78,000. And again, in part, because there is that, we did get a huge chunk of money ahead of time to start the grant. So we're in good shape as far as cash is concerned. We've got revenues to carry us through the projects that we have. One of the things that we wanted to do was, and we're going to do, is budget them. So you'll see that even more grants have come in since then. So we started off in real good shape in January too. Carol, was there something else you wanted to add?
I'm sorry.
Carol, we definitely can't hear you right now.
Okay.
For some reason, your mute keeps going on, but you're good now.
Okay, Karen, I have a quick question. Are we able to do the motion for the December and January treasurer's reports together, or do they need to be separate?
No, I think they could be together.
Okay.
Yeah, they could be together.
well, given that, would you mind sharing the January one as well? And then, Carol, hop in whenever you're able to, if you want to add anything, but I'll just let Karen give us a quick overview for January, and then we can do a motion on both of them at the same time.
Okay. All right, let me read.
Thank you, Karen, for being our Zoom expert today.
No. Tell me if you can see it now.
Yes.
Okay. Carol, you want me to talk about January too?
Yes, please.
Yeah, no big surprises in January. It's the first month of the year. We continue to get grants in. We started our payments for the Rouge cruise, so that you're going to see those expenses on there. And then just the project expenses, which really haven't started, in full force yet. So we're still in good shape cash wise, and I don't think there's anything else to add. Or if anybody has any questions. Okay.
Right. Well, then can we get a motion to I see there's a question in the chat about the budget. So we shared this version with the public. Is that correct? Do you see that, Karen?
Let me see.
There's a question in the chat about the treasurer's report, and sorry, I'm trying to pull it myself. Is there more detailed budget available to the public?
What kind of details are you looking for? This isn't the budget. This is oh, I see what you're asking.
There's someone had a question in the chat about, is there a more detailed budget available to the public?
I don't know. Let me, can I get back with you, Debbie? I'm going to send you that letter. So can I talk to Marie and get back with you on that?
She
okay,
said sure.
Thank you. Okay, I will talk to Marie, and I promise you I will email you back with an answer.
All right, thank you. Marie's the executive director, and
Executive director, sorry.
since she's out, she'll be able to answer all the questions when she returns. So, all right, and then for the board, can we get a motion to approve the December 2022 and January 2023 treasurer's report as presented?
I'll motion, Sam.
Thank you, and a second?
Guess we'll do this and go.
I second, Mike.
All right, thanks, Mike. And then any discussion? Okay, so then we'll ask the board to vote on the motion to approve the December 2022 and January 2023 financials as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Sleepy eyes.
I know.
Okay.
Bye, you guys.
All right, thank you. Any opposed? All right, then the motion passes. Thank you very much. So moving right along to the Q1 2023 budget amendments. Karen.
I can speak to that, Jessica. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Karen.
Okay. If Karen can share the proposed budget amendment. I'll speak real quickly on it. We had a finance committee meeting, and Marie proposed these changes to the budget. We received some grant revenue, so the revenue increased and foundation support increased, and there's going to be some higher staffing costs. And then it was mentioned before, there's a proposed cost of $48,000 for a lobbying firm. So is there any discussion on the proposed budget amendment?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, since Marie's not here, and Jerry, who also helped with kind of doing some due diligence around the lobbying firm, I just wanted to share real quick a few notes from them. And sorry, please bear with me because I don't like to read from the screen, but I also don't want to capture incorrectly what they
If I
share.
could interrupt, I think we have to have a motion before we have a discussion. A motion and
Oh gosh. Is that Karen? I'm so sorry. I've now lost you guys on my screen. So is that you?
Yeah, that would be point of order would be that if before formally bringing up discussion for the board is to have the motion out there and then open the floor to discussion once the item's presented.
Gotcha. Okay. So can I get a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented?
A motion to approve the budget.
A second.
All right. Thank you. And any discussion, and I can share the comments from Marie and Jerry. Okay, so Marie just wanted to make sure that you all knew that this came up to hire a lobbying firm from a brainstorming session with Michelle Hodges from the Belle Isle Conservatory, as well as with Herman, who's a friend of the Rouge Trail Manager, and Marie. Michelle brought up the idea of meeting the Belle Isle Conservancy's hired lobbying company, Plunkett & Cooney, via their contact, Peter Langley. She spoke very highly of him and the consulting firm and was pleased with the type of support that they had helped to earmark at the state level. They continued to have discussions and provided a proposal that kind of outlined their services in the lobbying space that really are to represent Friends of the Rouge before the Michigan legislature and the executive and administrative branches, monitoring legislation activity to identify issues that may impact client operations or anticipated growth, identifying appropriation opportunities, etc. And she mentioned that they're specifically looking to support the Rouge Gateway Greenway Phase 3 and beyond, up to Phase 8 through 9, as well as support for other built environment projects. And they're also looking for support for regional programs, including education and monitoring. So that's kind of like an overview of how this came to be and what the hope is for Friends of the Rouge moving forward. And just one other thing I want to add from Jerry, who Marie consulted because of his previous work with lobbying professionals while he worked at the Detroit Zoo before retiring. Jerry mentioned that he made a call to Ken Newa, who's a partner of Plunkett & Cooney, who was very complimentary of their services, noted the extensive experience and time spent in the state legislature that they've had, and that they're very familiar with the process and availability of funding. He also thought it would be a good idea to ask for a 10% nonprofit discount, which Marie did follow up and we did receive. Also, he spoke with he has a relative that is the director of the tour guides for the state capitol, who also is familiar with them, spoke highly of their work, and overall just said that the lobbying firm would join the cohort to include Belle Isle and the Detroit Parks and Rec Department, which could really assist in helping funding and grant opportunities. So like I said, thank you for bearing with me while I kind of read off their summary, but I just want to make sure you understood kind of a little bit more of the background on that in particular, and given the context of what we were just discussing as well. So that is that. Any discussion or questions on the budget as a whole, or that item in particular, or budget amendment as a whole, I should say? There's a question saying what generally comprises the 10% increase in personnel budget as listed in this amendment? Karen, is that something you wouldn't mind speaking to?
yes, we've got a community organizer coming on. We have the trails assistant. We have, I wish I would have pulled up my detailed budget. I can do that really quick. But a lot of these positions are necessary to fulfill grant requirements. So I can tell you that most of the positions that she added are to fulfill grant requirements, to get our work done. So let me just pull up. I can tell you exactly. I am so sorry. I pulled up everything so I would be prepared, and then I just this up.
I was gonna say, Cody, if you wouldn't mind sending your email in the chat, either to the group or to Karen, we could also get back to you on that. Unless you have it now, Karen.
Oh, that's good. Okay, I'm good now. Okay, so there is going to be an administrative database assistant added to the team. This person will help our database with our membership database, and so that tracks donors, funders, members. So that's a part-time position, so that Laura can focus on some other giving needs for the organization. We are bringing Dallas Ford, who's a restoration assistant. We're going to bring him up to full time, which is fantastic. He's been with us for a while now. And then we've got 3 part-time restoration assistants that are necessary to fulfill some grant requirements. And then we have the trails assistant that I mentioned, and then another intern. So that's 1, 2, 3 interns in total. Oh, I'm sorry. 3 interns in total, and then a AmeriCorps Vista employee, and and the related taxes and benefits associated with those positions. I hope that helped.
Yeah,
okay.
Cody said wonderful. Thank you.
Is my audio getting better? I guess I have to hold the microphone up to my mouth.
I can hear you. I think if you move a little, you might fade out, but overall, I can hear you. Hopefully, everyone else can too. Any other questions or discussion about the budget amendment? All right. Hearing none, then we'll go ahead to vote on the approval of the Q1 2023 budget amendment as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, any opposed? All right, then the motion passes. Thank you very much to the finance folks. And then moving right along, actually, I know we had the comments about new staff guidelines. Carol, did you want to share about that?
Right. So Marie was talking about she didn't know if she had to actually go to the finance committee and or the board to ask for every staff increase or new hires. So we had a discussion at the finance committee of what really needs to go to the board and what needs that the staff can just decide on. And I don't know if there's does anyone want to ask any questions about that? Is there any discussion on that? So the only time that Marie would need to go to the board for staffing changes if it wasn't covered by a grant. So if there's using general operating income, she would have to talk to the finance committee about changes in staffing.
Any questions on that? All right, great. Moving right along. Thank you all I know we're running over time now, but for those of you that are able to stay on, we appreciate it. And if not, we understand that too. So I'll turn it over actually to Karen. Would you mind giving just some high level takeaways?
I'm going to go so fast, you guys. Are you ready? Okay, for the executive director report, we're continuing the brand audit and brand guidelines and new website development process. We're currently working on designing the homepage, working on the park office lease extension agreement for 2023. I think that's due in May. I think we're signing it in May. Just a couple of welcomes to Sarah Steenberg, our new restoration architect, and Tyreek Bugby was just hired as the full-time trails assistant. Here's the explanation I should have read ahead of time. Hiring 6 additional new positions in 2023. 1 full-time for AmeriCorps and 5 part-time roles. Maria's in Washington, D.C. today. She's and Thursday for the Great Lakes Day with Healing Our Waters Coalition and National Parks Conservation Association as Southeast Michigan delegate. That's the executive director report. Education committee, I don't think we have, is Sam still on? Nope. So let me go through theirs too. Just a little quick highlight. Year in review documents for REP and the fall monitoring data report are posted on the website. Erin continues brainstorming to add a youth council element to education programming. The community organizer position was posted and it's open through March 5th. Wait, somebody. Wait. And then the weather station at Park is now up and running. To see current conditions from our roof is a link in the program report, so you guys can look at that if you want to look at the conditions from our weather station. And I think Cindy is here. Do you want to give the restoration?
Sure, I'll give a very brief high-level update. But I did want to welcome Sarah and have her turn her camera on. So Sarah's our new landscape architect in the restoration department. We are super excited to have her on the team. She brings a lot of experience with her and a lot of knowledge, and just thrilled to have Sarah join the team. Sarah, do you want to say hello?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Like Cindy said, I'm Sarah Steenberg. I'm the new restoration landscape architect. Before this, I spent a few years in private practice after getting my Master's of Landscape Architecture and Master's of Ecology from the University of Michigan. So super excited to be with Friends of the Rouge, and it's nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Sarah. We are in the process of developing some systems to better manage our projects and standardizing some of the products that we're providing for, like the fee-for-service consultations and our construction document development. So we're excited about moving in the right direction there. The Master Rain Gardener course is currently in progress. We have 71 total registrants, 16 of those are in the Rouge watershed. This is a joint effort with our sister watershed organizations. And also the Metro Parks is involved in this round of Master Rain Gardener training course. So that's exciting. We are recruiting volunteers now to help us with spring projects. One of the biggest spring projects is our tree plantings along the Lower Rouge under contract with the Alliance of Rouge Communities and in partnership with Wayne County. We have 4,500 tree seedlings going in across a very large area in the city of Inkster. We'd love to have your help. It's a lot of fun and rewarding work. I guess with that, I will wrap it up, but thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. Erin, are there any other highlights from the remaining committees you wanted to mention? And I know, and just so everybody knows, the highlights are all listed in the board report. So, well, Karen, if you just want to like rattle off any high level ones aside from, I know everybody can kind of read through both the high level highlights from each committee report as well as the detail. Oh, if you're talking, Karen, you're on mute. Sorry.
Many controls to deal with. Okay. So on March 1st, the Michigan Invasive Species Grant Program approved funding for Friends of the Rouge to conduct surveys for red swamp crayfish as part of a grant awarded to the Clinton River Watershed Council. The stonefly search was on January 21st and had almost 100 participants. Stoneflies were found at fewer sites. Salt levels were dangerously high at the upper Walled Lake, and Middle Site. And there was a link to a report in your board reports. And Valley held both Frog and probably Sam held both Frog and Toad survey training workshops with 77 participants in each. And Rouge and Huron Community Angler Survey showed PFAS in every fish collected. And there's also a report attached to that. And then let me move on to trails. The Metro Parks will sponsor the first 25 paddlers for our June and August paddle trips. We're right now recruiting experienced paddlers to assist with monitoring safety on our paddle trips. Herman presented at the Reimagine River Access Symposium in San Antonio in February, and the topic was equity and access in water trail development. He also was invited to present a plenary session at the AOC conference in August in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We'll do a dry dock pop-up and some community engagement. He's holding an Earth Day event at the Inkster Woody Debris Management Work Day on April 22nd at Colonial Park from 9:30 a.m. to 1. And all this information can be found on our calendar or in your board packet. Let's see, Tyreek Bugby accepted the offer to join as trails assistant. I think that's probably about all we can cover right now.
Oh, thank you, Karen. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And please check out your board packet for more details on any of those items, and also let us know if you have any questions or comments. Feel free to put them in the chat or reach out to me or the staff either now or during or after the meeting.
And for anybody who's visiting the meeting today, we have all of our board minutes are posted on our website. Our 990s are posted there too, if you're curious or interested about that. And our audits, they're all posted on our website. So contact me if you need help finding it, but it should be on the homepage under About Us.
All right, so moving on to new business for our walk-ins. Thank you all. I know you guys have been adding things in the chat, and thank you to Robert who added a note in the chat about the Dearborn, or I'm sorry, you're the director of Dearborn DPW, and a note about the log jams on the Rouge, and interested parties who are willing to tackle some or all of the log jams have until end of March to submit bids. And you can read the rest of what he has to share on that in the chat. But I just want to ask if for any of our walk-ins today, if any of you would like to introduce yourself and if there's any new business that you may have at this time. All right.
Hi. Oh.
Leah?
Hi, sorry. Am I considered a walk-in this context?
I believe so. I don't know. I don't know who so
Yes.
I
Okay.
see Kira nodding though.
Okay, I'll just introduce myself real quick and say that I am just here today just listening in on behalf of the city of Birmingham. I work in the planning department, and we are just interested and have a lot of staff, and public and just people interested in sustainability initiatives. How can we support restoration efforts? What is our relationship to the Rouge?
Leah, I think you froze.
Expedition to follow, what you guys are doing, which is great work, obviously.
Thank you. Thanks for joining, and we're glad to have the partnership with a neighboring city as well. All right, anyone else that is a walk-in that wanted to introduce themselves or share anything new business? All right, then we will move on. Any new business from the board? And I'll just add to that, if there's any reminders that any board members want to share as well, feel free. All right, hearing a rousing, let's get off the meeting response. And I just wanted to mention that the next board meeting is on May 10th. It'll be held via Zoom, and our June meeting will be held in person at the Friends of the Rouge office at Park. And with that being said, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
A motion to adjourn. Sue.
Thank you. And can I get a second?
Second, Carol.
Great. And if there's no objection, then the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here and for hanging in there. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Today.